Salvete omnes. This is Gai Iuli Caesaris Commentarii de Bello Gallico Liber Primus, chapter 29. Caesar writes, In casris Helvetiorum tabulae repertae sunt litteris Graecis confectae et ad Caesarem relatae. Quibus in tabulis nominatim ratio confecta erat, qui numerus domo exisset, eorum qui arma ferre possent, et item separatim, quod pueri senes mulieresque. So in plus the accusative would show motion towards, into, or onto, but in plus the ablative shows location, in or on, and casris, it's totally ablative. Casra, orum, always neuter, always plural. In the camp, that's where we're located. Helvetiorum, genitive plural of Helvetii, the Helvetians. So in the camp of the Helvetians, in the Helvetians camp. Tabulae, from tabula, I, feminine. It's a tablet. So it's a board. It's a lot like our tablets today, only theirs back then were not electronic. Theirs was a wooden board, roughly the same size and shape as ours, and it could open and close, rather like a book, to protect it from the weather, the elements. On the inside, usually was wax. Wax was laid down, so that with a sharp implement called a stylus, which we also have those today, only we use our stylus to make marks, as in electronic digital marks on a glass screen on our tablets. Back then, they actually used the stylus to inscribe into the wax on the wooden board. If a mistake is made, it's easy to smooth over the wax with either the reverse side of the stylus or with a finger. So tabulae, these are tablets, these are writing boards. They repertae sunt. Repertae, they were found, from reperio. So reperio, reperire, reperi, repertus. So they were nominative plural feminine, agreeing with tabulae, third person plural, perfect passive indicative, were found. In the camp of the Helvetians, tablets were found, litteris Graecis. They are in litteris. Littera, I, feminine, is a letter of the alphabet. In the plural, it typically means a letter that you mail, but it can also mean letters of the alphabet, as it is here. Remember, context is key. Graecis, Graecos aum, Greek. So they're made confecti. Confecti from conficio, conficere, confeci, confectus. They were not just facio, but cum facio, to not just make or do, but to really make or do, to the point where they were accomplished or finished, completed. What was completed? The tabulae. You can tell by the ending, nominative plural feminine, that confecti also goes with the tabulae. The tabulae were first repertae. Well, they had been confecti in litteris Graecis et ad Caesarem relatae. So the tablets were found having been finished off in Greek letters. So as a perfect passive participle happened actually before they were found, right? Because first the tablets were written by the Helvetians. Then when the Romans are in the Helvetian camp, they find these tablets. Et ad Caesarem relatae. And ad plus the accusative, motion towards, to Caesar, they are refero, referre, retuli, relatus. They are refero, not just pharaoh, to bear or carry, but refero. They are borne back, carried back, relayed. They are relayed to Caesar. They are brought back to Caesar. In the Helvetian camp are found tablets, written, finished off, in Greek letters, and relayed to Caesar, and they were brought back to Caesar. Quibus, qui, quod, relative pronoun. Its antecedent are the tablets. They have to agree in gender and number, plural and feminine. They do not have to agree in case. Tabulae being the subject of these verbs, repertae and confectae and relatae. Quibus, inside its own clause, quibus is going to be, well, let's find out. In plus the accusative, motion towards, in plus the ablative location, and tabulis. Hey, Caesar felt, maybe, perhaps, that the antecedent, tabulae, was really just too far away from the relative pronoun quibus, and he decided to repeat it to help you out. He's actually trying to help you. Read it as in quibus tabulis. The quibus comes first because it's starting the clause. And then the in goes with tabulis, and the quibus goes also with tabulis. In which tablets? In which what? Oh, in the tablets. Oh, in which tablets? Nominatim. When you said im ending, you'll see it again here with separatim. This is an adverbial ending. You also see it in statim. Immediately. Not just immediate, but immediately. Nominatim, you can see nomen nominus, namedly. It's an adverb meaning by name. Or in this case, by tribe, by tribal name. Because this was how their ratio rationis feminine, a lot like res. Ratio is a multi-purpose noun. It relies an awful lot on context to figure out what we're talking about here. But its base, like the base meaning of res is stuff. The base meaning of ratio is a thinking. From reor, rari, ratus sum, which is a thinking or a reckoning, as in, I reckon, I think, after I've thought it out a little bit, this is what I came up with. That's a ratio. You can get the word reason, a rationale. It can also mean plan, like your plan forward, like concilium, to move, like Caesar uses ratio to describe the schematics, the blueprint for the bridge that he builds across the Rhine. Well, this is the ratio. This was the plan, the rationale. Here it means like an account, a reckoning. An account, in which tablets, an account confecta erat. Here we have, once again, another a form of conficio, conficere, confeci, confectus. Another appearance of a passive form. This is the third person singular and it's feminine. Confecta, it's modifying the ratio. So the ratio was confecta, had been accomplished, carried out, completed. So the tablets were completed in Greek letters. So they were made out in Greek letters. They were written in Greek. And the reckoning, and in which tablets there was an account, a register or a registry. A registry had been completed. An account had been completed by tribal name, nominatim. So in these tablets is sort of the report, the ratio, the reckoning, the account, the registry of all the tribes that went on this merry quest westward. Qui numerus domo existet. All right, the subjunctive with qui. So notice this quibus here, this relative clause, took the indicative. This qui, taking the subjunctive, probably going to be an indirect question. It doesn't have to be, but it probably is going to be. Qui numerus. Qui, this is relative adjective. It's agreeing with numerus. Numerus being the noun. Which number? And yeah, you can see the direct question here. Which number left from home? Domo being the ablative from home, ablative of separation. Remember with the nouns domus, humus, and rus, you don't put a preposition in front of them to indicate motion. You don't put odd. You just put those nouns in the accusative to indicate motion. Same thing with ablative of separation. No preposition, just takes the ablative. For location, it takes the locative. We saw that in domi as the locative of domos. Domo, arigato, here is the ablative of separation. And you can see x here. Xeo should take an ablative of separation. So third person singular, the subject is numerous. Which number had left, because it's a prior action to the main verb introducing it, or whichever one were here, repertai. All of these are a secondary sequence, they're past tenses. And the number had already left from home. Which number had left from home? Eorum, and of them, qui arma ferre possent, and of them, who, and who of them that had left from home, arma ferre possent. Arma being the accusative plural, direct object of arma, orum, always neuter, always plural. Ferre being the present active infinitive of ferro, ferre, tu, lilatus. And possent, third person plural, imperfect active subjunctive, possum, posse, potui. So who had, or which number had left from home, and of them who were at that time imperfect. Notice how we've gone from prior action to contemporaneous action. Who at that time were able to bear arms. So which of the population, which number of this head count could actually bear arms? Et item separatum, and item means likewise, and likewise separatum, this is an adverbial form like nominatim, got that im ending, whereas nominatim is like namedly, by name, by tribal name. Separatum is more easily separately. And likewise, separately, and meaning that in the same way they had counted, and also separately, they had, quote, how many pueri senes mulieresque. Pueri, how many boys, as in youths, the youngins, how many young people, the senes, how many senex, senes, the elderly, and mulier, mulieres, feminine, women. And all of these at the end are indirect questions. Which number had left from home, and of those who were able to bear arms, and also separately, how many boys, elderly, and women. Boys, how many youths, the aged, and women. So in the camp of the Helvetian, tablets were found completed in Greek letters and relayed to Caesar, in which tablets a registry had been completed by tribal name concerning which number had left from home, and of those who were able to bear arms, and also separately how many young people, how many elderly, and women. And now you get to practice your numbers. Quorum omnium rerum, summa erat capitum Helvetiorum milia ducenta et sexaginta tria, Tulingorum milia triginta sex, Latobrigorum quattuor decem, Rauricorum viginti et tria, Boiorum triginta et duo. Nice. Look at those numbers. Quorum, genitive plural feminine, qui quae quod. Omnium, genitive plural, any gender, probably feminine, of omnis omne all. Rerum, res rei feminine, your favorite fifth declension noun. Stuff, all multi-purpose noun, like ratio, even more so than ratio. We'll need something around us. context to tell what's going on here. But we do have the relative here, and Latin prefers the relative where English likes the demonstrative. Latin likes to say, of all of which things, meaning these things, so all of which accounts, all of which categories, we could say, and out of all of which categories, English would probably like to say, out of all of these categories, summa, the summa I feminine, the sum, the summation, this is our nominative singular feminine. Out of all of these categories, the sum was capitum helvetiorum milia, and then we have ducenta et sexaginta tria. So out of all these was summa erat milia, was this number, and then remember that milia being the noun form of the indeclinable adjective mille. Mille is a single thousand. Plural, milia, that's a noun. Milia, milium, always neuter, always plural. You can't just say, I have 263,000 Helvetians. You have to say, I have 263,000 of Helvetians. Of Helvetians. So this is these are partitive genitives. Milia takes a partitive genitive to tell you what thousands of something it is. So out of all of these categories, the sum of the Helvetians was 263,000. The capitum here is 63,000 head. You count things by head, because if you don't, I mean, whatever you're counting has to have a head, right? If it doesn't, it's not alive, and why would you count it? So that's why we do this when we count things per capita. Capita being the accusative plural neuter with per capita, by head. Of all these categories, the sum of the Helvetians was 263,000. Of the Tulingi, there was, what is that? That's 10, 10, 10, 30, and then 5 and 1, 6. 36,000. Of the Lato Brigi, there was 10, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 14,000. Of the Raurake, there was 10, 10, that is 20, and then 3, 23,000. That's Wiginti et Tria. Boiorum, of the Boi, that's 10, 10, 10, 30, and then 2, 32,000. Triginta et duo. Ex his, qui arma ferre possent, ad milia nonaginta duo. So out of these, qui, those who, arma ferre possent, we asked this question earlier, qui arma ferre possent. So out of these who were able to bear arms, ad milia nonaginta duo. So nonaginta, there were upwards of, ad milia, up to, nonaginta, 90. That's 90 and 2, 92,000. Out of these, those who are able to bear arms, nonaginta duo, 92,000. Summa omnium fuerunt ad milia, and then check out this number. So that is trecenta et sexaginta octo. That is trecenta et sexaginta et octo. Summa omnium fuerunt. The sum, the grand total of all of these was ad milia, up to, that is 300. 50 plus 10 is 60. Add 5, and then add 3 to the 5, 8. 368 168,000. The grand total of all of these ran up to 368,000. Eorum, qui domum redierunt censu habito, ut Caesar imperaborat, of course he did, repertus est numeros milium centum et decem. Eorum, genitive plural, masculine. Of these, which ones? We're about to say. Of these, because it's this form of isea id is answered by this form of qui quae quod. Of those who, which ones? Those who, qui domum redierunt. Remember, we do not put a preposition in front of domus, humus, or rus. So the accusative is just fine to indicate motion towards. Redierunt, third person plural, perfect active indicative of redeo, redire, redi, reditus, to redeo, to go back, to return. Of those who returned back home, censu habito, censu from census us masculine, a census, that means a head count, and then habito, habeo, habere, habui, habitus. This is an ablative absolute, with a census, with a head count having been held, having been taken, after taking a census. Ut Caesar imperaborat, this is ut plus the indicative, as nominative subject, ya boy Caesar, third person singular pluperfect active indicative of impero, imperare, imperavi, imperatus, as Caesar had commanded. Repertus est, we've come full circle. Repertus est, repertae sunt. So reperio again. What repertus est, what was found, third person singular, it's masculine, perfect, passive, indicative, the numerus. The number was found, milium centum et decem. Milium, this is the genitive plural of milia, milium, always neuter, always plural. How many thousands, what number of thousands was there, was found to be left of those who had gone back home after the census was taken as Caesar had commanded? Centum et decem, 110. Of those who returned home after a census had been taken, as Caesar had commanded, the number was found to be 110,000. That is 110,000 out of a supposed original grand total of 368,000 people.